Just need to add some water and some veggies, and then my ham broth will be pork, whatever you want to call it. It'll be ready. Well, it won't be ready, but it's got to cook for 24 hours, but then it will be ready. Okay, water and veggies are added, so now we're just going to put the lid on and let it go for 24 hours. So I did not record the whole process, but this has chicken bones. I was thinking to myself, you know, I got the Instant Pot. It does have the slow cooker setting on it, so I can actually use that as my second crock pot and also make chicken broth as well as the ham. And that is what we have so far, and I'm getting ready to start it. I've got my timer set to 24 hours. Kyle's gonna love that I will be processing jars at 6:30 tomorrow night. Okay, so I've pulled these out of the fridge, and right now I am just scooping this layer of fat off the top. I'm sure I've seen some people just can this straight the day that they make it, and that's fine. I prefer to get the fat off of the top, and then I will take that and I will heat it up, and I'll put it on the dog food. Get as much of that out as I possibly can. Oh, sorry. And then I like to work with hot food, hot jars, hot water. So instead of just putting this in the can, you can see it's very gelled. I let this sit in the fridge. It's very... But I'm going to heat this back up on the stove, and then I'm going to put it in my hot jars, and I'm going to put it in the hot canner and let it process for 3 hours. So I'm going to do the same thing to the chicken broth, which that, I have to say, the chicken broth is not as gelatinous as the beef broth, but that's okay. I'm going to take this out too, and I'm going to just scoop it, and of course it's not going to work. Okay, so these have been sitting overnight, and of course you see how gelatinous that is. I have scooped out most of the grease, like the grease that has formed on the top, and I'm going to do that with the chicken as well. There's not as much on the chicken as there was on the pork, but I'm going to get all of this out, and then I'm going to put them back on the stove, and I'm going to get them hot so that I can work with hot jars, hot product, hot water, and try and get as much of this out. I might have to waste some of this broth, but that won't be wasted. I'm going to heat that up and mix it up, and then I'm going to put a little bit of it on the dog's food. I'm sure he'll love it. Okay, and I'll be back when I get these in the jars. Alright, so this is the chicken broth. I thought I hit record and I was pouring it in there, but I did not. So I've just filled it, if you can see, to the rim. I'll pour a little more in here. I have some left over, and my daughter came home from school. I had to go pick her up, and she's throwing up. She's not feeling so good, so I'm going to give her a little bit of this today. The Mennonite family that I follow on YouTube and on Facebook, they highly recommend that for stomach viruses, cold and flu. I'm not mad about it. I'm just going to give her some of that, and whatever we don't use, I will put in ice cube trays, and once it's frozen, I will put it in Ziploc bags, and we'll save it for another time. So again, I'm just filling these up. Ooh, burning myself. I'm just filling these up, getting my hot lids on my hot jars. For those of you who are watching this that don't know me, just know I am not a professional. I'm going into my 3rd year of having a garden. That's it. I'm just learning. But I do these videos because I get asked, like, oh, how do you do that? How do you do that? And I'm just sharing mostly with friends, family, how I do things. And, well, that popped before I even went into the canner because it's very hot. Also because I forget. I'll forget. I will start doing things and I'll be like, oh no, like how did I do that last year? And this is just a way for me to go back and, you know, figure out what I did that worked for me the year before. I have to go get more lids, but then I'm going to put these in the canner or more rings. I'm going to put these in the canner and get this 3-hour journey started. I got more rings in hot water here. Also, my videos are very pieced together. I'm definitely not a professional at that either. And I kind of suck at the technology thing. I didn't grow up really too concerned about learning about any of it, and I probably should have, but you know, when I grew up, we didn't have to worry about social media or cell phones or any of that. We had the lovely red, what was it, Motorola or Nokia, and the only game we had on it was like the snake game or whatever. And I just always was intimidated by technology, so I'm still learning how to put these videos together. My sister-in-law probably could do it for me if I asked her. She's really good at this kind of thing. However, I suck, and I just want to stay home and garden and can and do all of the things that, like, people think I'm weird for doing, but I love it. So let's get these into the canner. Okay, so water is already boiling because I put my jars in there earlier to get hot. And I am going to put these in there now. I don't know if you're supposed to mix the pints and the quarts together. I always do, and I've not had a problem with it. So we're going to do this guy first because I had to take the lid off and start over because it already had pinged on me. It was ready to go. But if we're not supposed to put the quarts and the pints together and you want to tell me that, I'll listen. But it works for me. I might have gotten my canner a little full, so I'm going to have to pull some of that water off because it's going to go over the edge here. So let me do that. I'm just pulling some of this hot water off right now because I got my canner a little full. I know people are probably like, she's putting in her mistakes. Yeah, because we make mistakes every single time, and I just want you guys to know, like, it's okay to fudge up a little bit, to not do this, like, but we need to do it safely, and I don't want to have hot water boiling over. Let's see if it goes over now. Alright, they are done, and I don't know if you guys can see that or not, that it is still boiling in that jar. It is very hot. I'm gonna let these sit for like 5 minutes, and then I'll move them over to the counter. And I will let them sit for the next 24 hours. And yes, I do reuse my lids. I've heard people say not to. I've heard people say it's fine. If the lids are good, I do reuse them. All right, they are sitting on the counter. I'm getting ready to put a towel over them. I don't really know why. That's what my mom told me to do. So that's what I'm doing. I'm sure there's some method behind putting the towel over them, but I don't know. My grandma always does it, and so my mom does it, and then so I do it. And now we wait 24 hours, but when these rings pop and all of that, when I'm done, I'm probably not going to show that part. I'm just going to take them out and I'm going to put them in my cupboard where I put all my canned goods at, which we're getting low on them because we used quite a bit of them over the winter, but I'm excited. This is where they'll go when they're done. Got too much space in here. I need to really get on stocking up again. So that will eventually go somewhere else, but right now this is the space that I have.